DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5. The Game, Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and Connor Newt here with you. We hope you are having a wonderful Wednesday. And Derek Mason, man, Derek Mason, he's too good to eat an Uncrustable. If you remember yesterday's program, we got sidetracked at the beginning. I learned that Willy Donick has never had an Uncrustable.
Never.
So guess what? I did. I brought him one, and he's going to enjoy it live on the air. Derek Mason said,
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Enjoy it?
Yes.
I'm going to try it.
You are going to enjoy it because
I can't promise that I'm going to.
You are going to enjoy it, unlike Derek Mason. Get this out of here. I'm not eating that as he opens his bag of Doritos like he's above eating something that's processed.
I'll do it with you, Willie. It'll be a bonding experience.
Okay, we're gonna sink or swim together.
No.
Connor is an Uncrustable connoisseur.
If the crust was hard, then yes.
Well, it was frozen when I put it in my lunchbox.
I'm not going to eat some gooey.
It's not gooey.
It looks gooey. Yes, it is. And it's I guarantee you,
you're such a baby.
The bread that covers it isn't thick at all. It's a thin layer. And y'all know how I feel about the middle bread. Don't like it.
That's right. That's right. I cannot promise I'm going to enjoy this.
Will you do the honors?
Okay. Well, yes. Yeah. But let's keep.
Have you prepared yourself
for it? This is a
for
radio show, so let's keep talking while this happens.
Cheers. Here we go.
Oh, I thought this was going to feel differently in my hand. Number
See?
one, I thought
that's what she said.
You went there. I didn't.
Connor was going to if I didn't. Connor was going to.
I thought it was going to feel more like a Pop-Tart.
And y'all talk about Connor. Y'all are the most juvenile of them all, okay? Especially you to my left.
We established yesterday. You're Beavis and Butthead.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes. Okay. Go for it, Willie. Here it goes. Down the hatch.
I don't think he likes it too much.
He's digging it.
It's like watching a kid eat broccoli for the first time.
He has to get some water. That's not a good sign. Right there.
Willie doesn't like it.
Yeah, that's not a good sign. It's not a good sign.
I thought we were off to a promising start.
I'm reminded. I told you the story yesterday. My body just started rejecting PB&J in about the third grade because I just every lunch I had peanut butter and jelly, and I got so tired of it. This reminds me, I'm flashing back to my cafeteria days at Purchase School in New York.
Oh my goodness.
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed.
It's okay. I mean,
Willie wants to take another bite, and he will, just out of common courtesy, but deep down it's like
it's also really this is a radio show. It's like when you give your dog the peanut butter, and then the dog just keeps. He's like, "What is this in my mouth? I can't get out of it. I can't get it out of it."
Oh man.
Okay. Well, we'll give you a moment to
tell them what we got today.
Get the peanut butter off of the roof of your mouth. One texter says Uncrustables are a point of contention with my wife and me. My wife buys them for my 2-year-old, and I hide them because I don't want him eating them. I'll make him a homemade PB&J.
There we go.
If we're having a PB&J in the first place. I'm with DMase. Evan says grape jelly Uncrustables are the absolute best. That's strawberry, by the way.
Am I taking one of Arlo's,
prized possession?
I mean,
Uncrustables
I've
is
got
favorite flavor?
I've got like 60 at home in a big freezer.
So this is like a serious staple at the Biggin house.
Kids
have to be stocked.
This might be the new 102.5 Civil War.
Yeah.
He's got 60 of
He
these.
get it from Costco?
from a big box store.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Everybody's got their strategy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're continuing to eat it. So I'll take that as a small win. One texter says, Seinfeld 2026, Kramer and Newman start selling their illegal off-brand knockoff called Incrustables. That does sound like something the two of them would do. We will talk about sports today, by the way. Greg Wyshynski of ESPN.com will join us in roughly 15 minutes. Nothing happening in the NHL right now. Blink and you will miss a major trade. Multiple big trades yesterday. One already today. I don't know if it's been made official. The one between Buffalo and Washington with Alex Tuck with the sign and trade.
Working it.
Yes. So there's that. There's a lot going on. We will discuss all of that with Greg Wyshynski coming up in about 15 minutes. We'll get into what the Predators should do in the coming days as well. The first round of the NHL draft is on Friday evening. Nick Suss of the Tennessean will join us at 4:20 to discuss his outside-the-box off-season recommendations for the Tennessee Titans. We talked about one of them yesterday. We'll talk about all of them with us during the second hour. Last night, first round of the NBA draft. I don't think there were really any surprises.
No, especially not in the top half of the draft. And I'm sure that's what you're alluding to.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think there was a shocker in regards to, someone predicted to be drafted late first round, second, and end up in top 15. None of that happened, but it's going to be interesting to see how some of these young guys lead their team. What OKC did to combat Wemby. They went out and got Amara from Michigan because he's 7'4" and agile and is a hell of a defensive player.
One thing that drives me nuts about the NBA draft is, and I will read directly from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, quote, "It's a recurring theme at the NBA draft. Players get to the stage, are given the cap of the team that drafted them, and just about everybody in the room, including the player, knows it's the wrong cap. It happened again multiple times in the first round of the 2026 draft, and it included Milwaukee Bucks pick, former Tennessee Volunteers player Nate Ament, who donned a Miami Heat cap after he was taken number 13 overall. Everyone understood the pick, part of the massive deal between the Heat and Bucks for Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bobby Portis Jr. was actually Milwaukee's. The Bucks were the team on the phone when Ament was selected, something he acknowledged on air when he was interviewed right after the selection, and yet photos of the night document Ament wearing a Heat logo. That always drives me nuts.
Oh, it's so dumb.
We know you're not playing for the Heat. You are officially drafted by the Heat. We all know you're going to Milwaukee. Don't wear the damn Heat hat.
You know where the first ones, Derek, I remember with that, was when Scottie Pippen had the Sonics hat on.
Yes.
That was one of the first times I can recall that whole, because that was all part of it too. It's like this pick's going to be traded. He's going to be on the Bulls, but there's a lot of famous pictures of Pippen.
How about the famous picture of Kobe Bryant wearing a Charlotte Hornets hat?
Right.
Despite the fact, of course, he never played for the Hornets.
Yeah, and so now it's happening like annually.
Luka Doncic wore an Atlanta Hawks hat.
But this is where it gets confusing. Like last night, I was out with some friends and my son and one of his buddies, and his buddy is a huge Tennessee fan. So he wanted to know where Ament was going to go. And so he sees the thing. He was like, oh, this is going to be great. Ament's going to be playing with Giannis on the Heat. This is going to be awesome. Because all he was looking at was the thing.
Ticker,
like he wasn't reading the story that goes along with it. So it's like, how are you supposed to know who's going where?
I wonder why is it that the NBA choose to take that route?
Because it's because of the league calendar. I
get that.
Trades can't be processed.
Either fix the calendar or allow the guy because that's his moment. Allow the guy to don the cap of the team that he was drafted by, and not the team that traded away, his draft position, so to speak. So, but they're going to continue to do it, and we'll continue.
But if you're Nate Ament and you are documenting at the moment the greatest night of your life, you have realized your dream. You are going to the NBA, and you are wearing a cap of a team that you will probably never play for. Like, maybe
probably he's not.
Well, unless maybe late in his career he ends up going to the Heat or something like that. But in the moment, let's just all acknowledge what's actually happening. A famous example, as one of our texters points out, Dirk Nowitzki wearing a Bucks hat when he was drafted at the behest of the Dallas Mavericks. Like, it's just a strange thing. Like, when you've got a moment, Google Kobe Bryant's draft night picture of Kobe Bryant wearing a Charlotte Hornets hat. Like, it'll take a moment for you to process.
Yeah. Because nobody remembers the details of the trade and everything, because most of them are so confusing you don't understand it.
Only thing they see is the hat. It's like, he got drafted. No, he didn't get drafted by that team. That team traded away the rights to draft him, and so be it. So hopefully one day the NBA fixes it.
One texter says, why is the NBA the only sport that has this problem? Hockey doesn't go through this with basically the same offseason schedule. One texter says, "Oh my God, you guys are on this one. So true. I absolutely hate the way the NBA does the draft in that regard. Adjust the owner of that pick before the draft and have them wear the correct hat. It gets too confusing. Yet another thing the NBA does that is dumb. League calendar, be damned." I only notice it in the NBA. Does it happen in other sports?
No, it doesn't.
No.
Okay.
Because you rarely see. Yeah, no, it never happens.
No, none of the other sports do that.
Mm-mm. I'm trying to think. Football, is there a possibility of it happening? No, I guess it hadn't been.
I can't think of another sport that does this, but it bothers me whenever I watch the NBA draft. One texter has this sent to me, but I think it's a better question for Connor Newt. Hey, Adam, the streak continues for Kentucky for a player getting drafted in the first round. Are you surprised? Are you surprised, Connor Newt?
Yes.
Oh,
I am in the minority.
Jaden Quayton's going 20th overall to the Spurs.
I don't claim him. He doesn't count to me.
He played how many games?
3.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's kind of
wow.
hard. It's kind of hard to claim a player who only played 3 games for your team. He was injured, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got like some knee thing. Like he tore his Achilles the year before,
Mhm.
and they paid him $10 million to come play or something like that. That's probably a high example, but regardless, he played 3 games, so he doesn't count to me.
Okay.
Oh, man, you're harsh.
Shaden Sharp doesn't count either.
Wow.
He played 0 games.
By the way, today's word of the day, and it's a good one, I think.
Mhm.
Pantheon.
I like it.
Pantheon usually refers to a group of famous or notable people or things, such as Derek Mason is part of the pantheon of outstanding members of the Tennessee Titans.
All right.
I like it.
How about
And
that?
so this is not related to the Parthenon.
No.
Don't get it confused.
No, not related to
Just like a
the
quail,
Parthenon.
yesterday's word, that was not the bird,
Yeah. Nor was it Dan.
not Dan. Now the challenge for you, Adam, is to use Pantheon at some point over the course of the show, just to remind people of today's word of the day. It's like, we watch Sesame Street and it's brought to you by the letter A. Like there's a theme
Yes.
going out through the show,
Mhm.
so you
Yes.
gotta bring it into the works again.
How about this? In the pantheon of major NHL trades in recent memory, the Chicago Blackhawks trading the number 4 overall pick for Bo Byram may be one of the worst I can remember. How about that?
That is a trade that's getting all kinds of talk.
Yes.
It
had been 18 years, by the way. 18 years since an NHL top 5 draft pick had been traded that close to the draft.
And they did not just trade the 4th pick. They traded other assets to get Bowen Byram, including a 2nd-round pick, a top 50 pick, and a serviceable defenseman in Louis Crevier, who's 6'8", is an interesting guy, if nothing else, and he's still young. So it wasn't even just a straight swap. And Bowen Byram is a very good player that they're banking on becoming a great player who they're going to have to pay accordingly before he does it. I mean, it could work. But, Adam, I am going to give you the theme of that trade.
Okay.
You and you need to break it all the way down, go for the full rebuild. What is happening in Chicago? They're getting impatient. They have stunk for 4 straight years. They're tired of it. Connor Bedard's tired of it. And so this was one where somebody went to somebody, I don't know if it was the ownership or the ticket sales guy, and said, hey, let's not finish 30th again, okay? We got to speed this up. So Bowen Byram, I think they view as, well, he's already developed. He's a known quantity. We need something right now. We can't keep making these top 5 picks every year and say, well, in about 3 or 4 years from now, we're going to be really good when these guys go. It doesn't always work.
That is true. It doesn't always work.
Notice I hit a chord over
But
there.
just because it doesn't work in one place
Right,
doesn't
right, okay,
mean
yeah,
it doesn't
give me that.
work somewhere
Right.
else.
But there's still this notion, I think, of
the
everybody.
Blackhawks, whatever the Blackhawks are doing, don't do that. Like if you're putting together a manual on how to rebuild in the NHL, chapter 1, don't do what the Blackhawks are doing. Period. End of chapter.
Okay, but there's this notion, I think, of the way to get good is to stink for a long time, and sometimes it works, Sometimes it works quicker. Sometimes it works after a long time. Sometimes it doesn't work.
So are the odds more toward it not working?
It depends on what you deem as success. Like
Okay.
right now, the team getting all the pats on the back is San Jose.
Yes.
They still haven't won anything yet, but it does look like they're compiling. I mean, they're doing a really good job of compiling some high-end assets. But then the next thing is, like, you don't get to fly a banner. Although, remember the Predators were notorious for
Yes.
flying banners of maybe unnecessarily. Like even Nash flew a banner, the tiny banner that he raised to the top of the.
You're picking at old scabs, my friend.
Right. But you don't get banners for having the number one prospect pool. Like you get banners for starting to win stuff, divisions, championships, all that.
Yes.
And the Sharks are still on the ground floor on that.
Well, a good person to discuss all of this with is Greg
Yes.
Wyshynski of ESPN.
Segue.
He'll join us coming up next. 615.
I have finished the Crustable, by the way. It is gone.
Well, you ate it.
It's gone. I ate it.
Uncrustable.
But did you like it?
Uncrustable. No. Not overly.
Back to you, Jack.
It was a 5.
615-737.
I respectfully ate
Okay.
it.
1025. If you want to shame Willie for dog and Uncrustables like that, I mean, come on. 615-737-1025. Greg Wyshynski joins us next. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Let's go to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend, Greg Wyshynski of ESPN.com.
This, as we segue into the Puck Daddy here, this could be his generation or close. He may remember this. I know DMase does. But the theme today is musical themes from sports, TV shows, etc. This one,
This
do you
is
remember?
classic.
You remember You Make the Call?
Yes, you make the call.
During
On
the TV
fourth and-
timeout, it would be whatever. IBM presents You Make the Call. And then they do a thing of rules question. And then when you come out of it, if you said blank, you made the right call. And that was the theme.
Do you remember that, Greg?
Do you think I'm 73 years old?
Oh, come on!
What is the...
Come on.
No, actually, when it comes to sports music, one of the coolest things I ever owned, and I don't know where the hell it is now, it might be in storage, was a multiple CD set of NFL Films music, and it came in a binder that looked like a pigskin. It was awesome.
Yes.
And it was like all the music from inside the NFL and all the highlight packages they used to cut. It was so cool. I really love that thing. I got to find that where that is in my house somewhere.
I just had lots of Jock Jams albums when it comes to But Greg, there is nothing at all going on in the NHL, so I don't know what we'll discuss, but we'll start with this. We were just talking about it briefly, so let's start with what you called yesterday at ESPN.com, quote, the greatest fleecing in recent NHL history. You were referring to the trade of Bo Byram to the Chicago Blackhawks. So I ask you this question. Are the Chicago Blackhawks okay?
First of all, I should say that I should have said greatest fleecing since Martin Erat for Phil Forsberg.
Now that's
obviously.
You're a wrestling fan. That's a cheap pop, my friend. That's a cheap pop on Nashville radio.
Here's the thing. So I was just talking to an NHL team executive, and he made the point, if it had just been the 4th overall pick for Bowen Byram, like maybe you can sell that. He's still not the kind of defenseman you want to give up number 4 overall to get. I mean, if you're doing that, you're looking for your Victor Hedman, your Pietrangelo, your Roman Josi. Like you're looking for that foundational guy to ante up something that precious. These picks move when you're in the top 5, but it didn't stop there. They traded away the 45th pick. They traded away their leading scorer on defense, and all they got back was Jordan Greenway in the deal. And so, like, it is definitely something that in the chattering class of NHL executives is being goofed on, maybe would be the word. Like there are a lot of people really confused as to why the Blackhawks did this. And, I think the ultimate answer is desperation. They have a superstar in Connor Bedard. He's looking around at Utah and the Ducks and the Sharks and all these teams that have been rebuilding around the same time as the Blackhawks. He saw 2 of them make the playoffs, and the Sharks be right on the cusp of making it, and will probably make it next year. And meanwhile, his team is, second to last in the league. So the pressure was there to do something, and they did something dumb and earned the D grade that I gave him on their report card yesterday.
Greg, there has been a lot of hand-wringing about the talent drain from Canada to the good old US of A following the Brady Tkachuk trade over the weekend. Is this narrative being overblown, or do you believe the NHL now has an issue it needs to address?
I mean, how do you address it though? I think the way that it'll be addressed is that some of these Canadian teams are going to have to maybe rethink the way that they build their rosters. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, it used to be that you don't draft a Russian in the first round because you never know when he's going to arrive. Maybe it's now you don't draft an American in the first round because you're pretty sure he's going to leave. Maybe that's the reality of the situation. Now, in each of the things that have happened recently, there's justification for it. Like, obviously, Quinn Hughes, a team he wants to go play for a relevant team and be closer to his home in Michigan. Brady Tkachuk's brother plays for the Florida Panthers, so on and so forth. And then you look at like Cole, Lane Hudson and Cole Caulfield and Montreal, they're not looking to leave. They love it there, and their team is good. So I think ultimately, is it a trend? It's hard to say that it's not based on what we've seen. And it may be something that these Canadian teams are going to have to think twice about now.
Greg Wyshynski of ESPN is with us. So Brady Tkachuk, as you mentioned, he wanted to go play with his brother, but he had Florida and Vegas reportedly on his approved trade list. Dylan Larkin reportedly has Florida and Vegas on his approved trade list. We were talking about this on Monday, Greg. Nashville as a city, as you know, obviously, has many of the same advantages as a Florida and Vegas. The warm weather, the no state income tax, the low key environment, all of those things. So how quickly do you think Chris McFarland can turn Nashville back into a destination for the NHL's top stars? So when the next Tkachuk or Larkin or Matthews or so on and so forth, when they have, okay, you can only trade me to these 3 teams, and Nashville is one of them.
Ultimately, the answer is how quickly he can turn them back to being a contender. I mean, honestly, like, all of these places have their advantages for sure, but the bottom line is that Vegas has been to the Cup final now, 3 times?
Yes.
Florida won back-to-back Cups, went to the Cup final before that. Dallas has obviously been to the conference final a bunch of times previous to this year. And then you look at, a team that had a tax advantage for a long time, an income tax advantage, which was the Seattle Kraken, and nobody goes there. So, I mean, like, it comes down to whether or not you have the combination of, can I earn more money playing there? Is it a cool place for my family to live, or for me to live as a swinging single who wants to do some country karaoke, on a weeknight? But ultimately the real thing is, can I win there? And that's going to be the real key. It doesn't matter. I mean, look, I was thinking about this the other day, boys. If you traveled back in time, say like 11 years, and you saw that one of the biggest stars in the league, Brady Tkachuk, had a trade list that was like, I only want to play in Carolina or Florida, you'd be like, is this guy insane? But that's how quickly things can change after you've had a run of success, is that places that don't seem to be destinations all of a sudden become destinations because they have that combination of team success and all the other ancillary stuff that these guys are looking for.
Now, Greg, there's been a lot of trades leading up to the draft, which is Friday. Do you expect that trend to continue? And do you expect that the Predators will be a part of it?
I think they have to be, just because it is such a hot market right now. I think one of the things that we thought would happen has certainly happened, which is that the free agent pool, the unrestricted free agent pool, I should say, being an absolute puddle this year, has forced teams to be creative. And you combine that with the salary cap going up, and now all of a sudden you're in a situation where teams are more willing to trade futures, get guys on long-term deals, maybe have high cap hits, and improve their team that way, because it's the only way they're going to be able to do it. So I do hope the Predators get involved in all of this, because there's clearly teams looking to improve and are willing to deal to make that happen. And I do think that even though a lot of the names that we were looking at are starting to come off the board, there are so many others that, could potentially move. Morgan Riley, defense for the Toronto Maple Leafs, looks like he could be on the way out. There's a bunch of the goalie carousel has yet to start spinning, whether it's Connor Hellebuck in Winnipeg or Jacob Markstrom in New Jersey or Jordan Binnington with the Blues. Like, there's so much more business that needs to get done. And I imagine a lot of it's going to get done before the draft on Friday night.
We're talking to Greg Wyshynski from ESPN, and we are setting the table for the draft Friday and all of the frenzy of trades that we're seeing right now as the offseason begins. And Greg, one of the things that we've talked about with regard to the Predators is they've got that hole in the age category of, say, 24 to 28. They're pretty low there. They've got a lot of guys in the 30s, and they've got a lot of guys in the low 20s that they're not sure what they have yet. So I was particularly interested in the Nemitz trade that New Jersey made, and looking at the cost that Calgary spent to try to get a guy that was, high rated prospect that needed a change of scenery. There's a couple other examples of guys that may or may not be in that mix. What did you think of the price that Calgary paid to get a guy like Nemitz?
It was aggressive, especially for a guy that I don't think wanted to be in Jersey anymore. You know, the first rounders that they traded are probably going to be rather low, barring some calamity with either Vegas or Colorado we're not aware of. But again, to get a guy like that, you got to give to get. And the thing about Nemec is that I do think he's got upside. I do think that his situation in New Jersey stunted his growth. You know, they really kind of made him an example when things weren't going right. And he probably got scratched a few times when it should have been Luke Hughes that gets scratched. But the problem is that the best player on New Jersey is not named Jack Nemec. So you're not going to scratch Luke Hughes. And so, you know, I think that he kind of got frustrated there and it hurt his growth potential. But, you know, like you said, it's a decent investment. It's the kind of young player you need to target if you want to get better. And if you've got the assets to do it, and Calgary obviously had done an expert job of acquiring draft capital in the last few years and trading a number of their, you know, good players, then you got to go there.
We, as you can imagine, Greg, and you go on our station every week, so I'm sure you get versions of this question, but also league-wide, this is a big thing. Everybody's always talking about, hey, you don't want to be in the mushy middle. And the Predators clearly are there right now. The question is, what do you do? But a lot of people say, well, you got to go all the way back down so you can go up. But I thought that was kind of my first thought with the Blackhawks trade is it doesn't always just easily say, well, you finish last for a couple years, you get the high picks, and you're right back in there. Because it looks like there's some frustration to try to move it along quickly in Chicago because it hasn't gone that well.
It's a good point. You know, and I think they're being aggressive for that very reason. I think the problem that I have with the Chicago trade is that it's delusional. Like I said, you know, there's other teams that have rebuilt that are clearly ready to not use their top draft picks anymore to build out their prospect group and could be more aggressive in trading them. The Blackhawks were second to last in the league. Like it's delusional to think that they can't use the 4th overall pick for a player that is going to be part of whatever foundation they're putting under Connor Bedard. The problem is that because they've done such a poor job in developing players around him, and because some of the picks that they've made haven't hit the way they wanted to, you know, they're in a desperation mode and have to make a move like this. So I know what you're saying. Like, it's not a guarantee that if you go down that route of stripping your team to the that it's going to work. But I mean, more often than not, it has. More often than not, that's how you get your foundational generational players is through the draft, because they're simply not going to be available to you anyway else.
Speaking of teams that had to wait a long time to get good, Buffalo, who grabs the number 4 pick, they want to win now. Right now, they're like, finally, we got these young players. Now they have the 4th pick. What are your thoughts on what they might do with that? Will they just grab somebody, or do you think they might shop that around, or if not shop that pick, take some of these other guys that they have in the system that are young, that were pretty high picks in their own right at some point, to try to get the guy that maybe puts them over the top, especially after losing Alex Tuch today?
Yeah, I think they could go either way with it, to be honest with you. I mean, if they use that pick and select a good young, maybe dealing it for some area of need, they're good on the back end. It's one of the reasons that they could afford to trade Byram. You know, whoever's going to play with Owen Power, they'll be fine there. Their top pairing of Samuelson and Rasmus Dahlin is great. And so I'm intrigued by what they end up doing. Now, obviously, one of the things that's being bandied about is Connor Hellebuck, the multiple Vezina winning goaltender for the Winnipeg Jets. He's reportedly not been happy there. I can tell you from conversations I've had with executives in the last week that they're like listening, but I don't think they've gotten to the point of being like, here are the things that we need to make this trade. Now that could maybe change before we get to Friday night. Obviously Buffalo, if they wanted to be aggressive, can really ante up that pick and make a go at it. But to me, when you look at the Sabres and the parts of that team that could really improve, yeah, they have to find a way to replace Alex Tuch's goals, but I think they're also going to have to if the opportunity to shore up their goaltending, they have to do it.
Greg, before we let you go, we have a listener question for you, if you don't mind.
Heck yeah. Sure.
One texter says, can Greg give us a snapshot of his opinion of what Chris McFarland is going to do? I would definitely think with 30 or so draft picks over the next 3 years and 11 in this draft, I would think the Predators would have done more than just adding Ross Colton by now. Can we expect Jonathan Marchessault to be moved finally, or do we think it'll be more of a trade deadline scenario after McFarland sees what he truly has?
That's a great question. I mean, sometimes the answer is given to you by the market. I mean, like, you need someone to want to trade for someone like Marcia. So I think that there should be a market for him. A guy that has been a playoff hero in the past. To me should be somebody that you'd want to add. And quite frankly, like maybe Vegas could be in that category depending on how their offseason goes. But I think when Chris was hired, my first thought was, okay, he's going to have to find a way to clear off some of the veteran money on this cap. He's going to probably, create a base of prospects that they can sort of build around. And then when the time is right, maybe be more aggressive in trying to turn some of those futures into players that can help them now of a certain age. But again, for those who are like wondering what he's going to do, or for those who are concerned about the future of the Predators, this is a really good front office, man. He's put some people in place around him that I've got tons of time for and tons of respect for, and Jamie Langenbrunner and Rob Blake. I think the world of McFarland himself. I think the Preds are in good hands.
Greg Wyshynski of ESPN has been our guest on DMase, Vin Gnadonic. Of course, you can hear him every week with the Chase and Big Joe show. Greg, thank you so much for your time. We'll do this again soon.
Anytime, boys. Thanks.
615-737-1025. We'll continue the conversation coming up next, because I do think what we've seen in the NHL over the past couple of days does present an opportunity for the Predators, and we'll discuss that more in depth coming up next. 1025 The Game will have live coverage of the NHL draft starting Friday at 6 with our very own Willy Donick, Max Hers, and other Predators broadcasters. We will take you through the end of the first round, as the Predators currently have the 10th overall pick. Our NHL draft coverage on 1025 The Game is presented by Tennessee Brewworks and the UPS store in Green Hills.
I think that when you go into an interview, you have to lay out what your plan for the team will be. And I think we're all sort of the mind that Nashville's taken this thing as far as it's going to go. And maybe if everything breaks right and you're healthy, you might be involved in a playoff race and you might even squeeze, be competitive for one round. But really, you don't really see a huge, bright future right now for the Nashville Predators. I don't think they want to double down on that. And I think this is probably one of the most exciting things here for Chris McFarland as he takes his job over is he can recreate it. And the first thing that you need to do is you need to subtract before you can start to add. So I'm really wondering how aggressive Nashville is right out of the gate in starting to rebuild this team. Well, no.
That was friend of the show and longtime collaborator with Greg Wyshynski, our previous guest, Jeff Marek, Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan. That was Marek talking about the Predators, of course. And this is a question that I was asking myself last night as I was trying to keep up with all of these trades going on in the NHL. Big ones involving a ton of picks and notable players. Should the Predators pounce on this seller's market? Now, I understand that a lot of the players who have been traded in the past couple of days, many of them are younger players. Bo Byram, Jordan Kyrou, Simone Nemeth, William Eklund. The Predators don't have a player in that age group that they're trying to get rid of. They need players of that age group. They need to bring them in. But I think it's clear that quality players are being sold for steep prices. And the Predators have quality players, such as Ryan O'Reilly or Steven Stamkos. So on and so forth. So I feel like we've been under the impression that Chris McFarland isn't going to do anything drastic right out of the gate. As he said, he wants to look under the hood. He wants to see what he has. Maybe he starts next season, sees where things are, and then he moves from there. But Willie, I'm wondering, when you look at how much teams are paying for these players, the free agent market, as Greg described it, is a puddle. There's nobody available in free agency right now that really moves the needle. Should Chris McFarland take advantage of what is clearly a seller's market and try to win big with the quality players he has on his roster?
I think the short answer is you need to be in this game because the game is happening right now. Every day we're seeing teams making bold moves, and the reason is, as you mentioned, there are really no free agents that are big splashes. What we haven't seen, Adam, is a trade of somebody like O'Reilly or Stamkos or Marchessault, the 30-something guy. We're seeing trades for younger guys.
Right. Alex Tuck is what, 30?
Yes.
Okay.
And that was basically, he told them he was going to be a free agent.
It was a sign and trade from Buffalo to Washington.
And Washington was able to meet his price, and they just flipped him a third-round pick, it looks like, to get it. So that's a unique trade. Jordan Kyrou is 28, I think, a flawed player who can score. But I think any person I've talked to with St. Louis, he's a little bit frustrating at times, right? He has great games, and at the end of the year, he's got a lot of points, but he's not like a 100-point guy. That was a big haul they got for Jordan Kyrou, but he's 28, and he's got a contract that is probably going to age pretty well when you get down to it, $8.1 million or whatever, when Alex Tuck just signed for $10.5. So these are the interesting things of the market changing right before our eyes. So I think for Chris McFarland, the answer is yes. I look at it this way, though. Is there a way to get that middle 20-something guy? Because what the Predators have, they have a lot of prospects. They have a lot of draft picks. And so are they willing to wheel a few of those guys for the right person that would – because as Barry Trotz said many times, all these picks we have, number one, they're not all going to hit. Number two, you can't sign them all. You can only have 50 people under contract. So when you have all these picks, you have to pick and choose who's going to make it, who's not. So you're better off using some of this stuff to get what you need. So I wonder which direction Chris McFarland will go with all that he has on his plate.
Is it impossible to do both? If the Predators want to take a run at one of these younger players who is reportedly available, they've got the 10th overall pick. They've got a ton of other picks. They've got solid prospects. Why? Or, you could do, for example, what Florida did before acquiring Brady Tkachuk, excuse me. Florida made a deal with Seattle, got a first-round pick, and then used that first-round pick in a package for Brady Tkachuk. So why couldn't Chris McFarland, for example, trade Ryan O'Reilly, get that draft capital back, and then use some of that draft capital to go out and get that 24, 25, 26-year-old that the Predators so desperately need? I'm wondering if he could do both. I think he could.
I liken it to this. We're getting back to the whole mushy middle thing. Let's say the Predators, let's say there's a 15-story building, 15 being Carolina at the top, right? They're winning. They're in the window to win. Those are the top floors. The bottom floor is, let's just put Chicago and some of those teams in there that went for the full rebuild. They wanted to strip it all the way down to the basement. Let's say Nashville is on the 7th to 9th floor, somewhere in that range. The way I'm looking at it, for me, if I'm Chris McFarland, and I'm not, is now that they have all these picks, they've done a lot of the dirty work to build the foundation of a good farm system. They've got a lot of draft picks. So do they need to go all the way down to the basement? Could they go back a couple of steps, go down to the 5th floor with the idea that that'll more quickly get them up to the 15th floor? I think that's the nuance that I am curious about. That's why I'm intrigued by the middle 20-something guys that might really be what you need, and you have the assets to go get it, even if it means you're trading. I'm not trading the 10th pick. I'm not doing that. I'm not trading Brady Martin. Definitely not doing that. But could I be talked into a couple of prospects, a couple of future first-round picks for the right guy? Yeah, I'm thinking along those lines.
Let's go to Adam in Portland on our phone line. Adam, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Well, I think it's weird to ask Willie that because, he's the voice, man. He can't just be like, yeah, get rid of him, because he's got to look at these guys, So I don't know.
Get rid of who?
I could say it though, like any of them, man. Like all these players. I heard you say Marchessault. That would be a fantasy, getting rid of him, because I don't think anybody would want that contract. I also thought Kyle Turris couldn't be traded, so I'm sure it's possible. But I think you're gonna have to give up a lot as well to just get rid of him. But I would love to see Yossi be moved, man. I know he's not being talked about enough, but if we could figure out a way to do that and convince him it's good to go, that would be awesome. Get rid of these older dudes, man, or people who don't produce like that. So get younger dudes, faster dudes in there. I love Yossi, but if you can get 2 good players for him, I would do that.
Thank you, Adam. And quickly, before we go to break, let's focus on this Marchessault comment, because I think under normal circumstances, Adam would be correct. If the Predators were trying to trade Marchessault, they would probably have to make it worth another team's while. Okay, please take this contract off our hands. We'll throw in a top prospect. We'll throw in a 2nd-round pick. Whatever you need to do to take him, take him. But because of how shallow the free agent pool is, I mentioned this the other day. Ross Colton, in another world a couple of years ago, the Avalanche probably would have had to pay the Predators to take him on. We've got a $4 million player here. We need the cap space. We'll throw you an extra pick. Take Colton from us. The Predators paid 2 third-round picks to bring in someone who I would describe at the moment as a distressed asset. So I think there is a team out there that looks at Marchessault. It hasn't worked here, but says, you know what? The wingers on the market, I don't want to overpay for those guys. I know Marchessault has struggled in Nashville, but he's only a few years removed from scoring 40 goals, from being the MVP of the Stanley Cup playoffs and winning the Stanley Cup. $5.5 million for a player of that pedigree seems like a deal. We'll do it. So I do think there is an opportunity there, Willie.
Roman Yossi's not getting traded. First of all, let's just make sure that we know that. As far as the quote bad contract, I think to add to what you're saying with Marchessault, the inhibitor of finding a trade partner with Marchessault is not the contract. It's not even close. With all of the money that's going right now and the cap ceiling shooting up as high as it is, $5.5 million, that's nothing for a guy that still might, if the right fit is there, be a guy that can score you 20, 25 goals. He's worth that easy. But the problem is he's got a no movement clause. That's the inhibitor. I think he's got to be talked into, hey, we've got some interest with these teams. Would you like a change of scenery? You've got to lay that groundwork. And I'm not sure what's been going on behind the scenes, but you need to redefine the market. Alex Tuck, who is a good player, just signed an 8-year, $10.5 million contract.
Per year, by the way.
Per year. He's 30. It's a new market, people. $5.5 million for Marchessault? That's not that bad. I know he's 35, but hey, that he's got some value. The issue is the no movement clause.
615-737-1025. We'll continue to take your thoughts on the Predators as the NHL offseason. It's nuts out there. We'll see what happens over the next couple of days. But coming up next, it's June. There are a lot of lists out there. And I saw an interesting college football list that I do want to discuss briefly coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. This was 1-2-1.
If you've lived in Middle Tennessee for any time, then you've seen how wild our weather can be, from winter storms, tornadoes, to flooding. We've seen it all. Like many of you, the winter storm earlier this year caught me unprepared. I lost power for 7 days. I was 7 days out of my house at a hotel worrying about whether my pipes were going to burst or not. That's when I realized being prepared isn't optional. I was ready to the next time a weather emergency hit, so I started looking for whole home generators and found Tri-State Water, Power, and Air. They've been in business for over 30 years, specializing in generators for more than half of those, which is all great. But the reason I chose to reach out and ultimately go with them was because of the reviews and the confidence other homeowners shared about their experience with Tri-State Water, Power, and Air. When Tri-State came to the home, they did a free on-site assessment and made sure the generator fit my home for me and my family's needs. The thing I appreciated the most was they didn't try to oversell me, just straight answers. Everything was turnkey. They did everything in-house, from installation to long-term services. If something ever goes wrong, I'm not calling around. I'm making one call to Tri-State Water, Power, and Air, because they've got me covered, and I know that's the kind of relationship you want, because that's the kind of relationship I have with them. So look, the weather isn't slowing down. Be ready. Call Tri-State Water, Power, and Air today to protect your home and your family. Find them at tristatewhywait.com. That's tristatewhywait.com.
DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and Connor Newt here with you. We're talking about the Predators making trades, and guess what? They reportedly have during the break. From our friend Elliot Freeman. Apparently, Chris McFarland only has Joe Sakic's phone number because Chris McFarland has made another trade with the Colorado Avalanche. According to Elliot Freeman, the Predators are acquiring forward Jack Drury, a prospect, and a third-round pick. So 3 pieces. Jack Drury, a prospect, and a third-round pick for Fedor Svechkov and Zachary Leroux. From Elliot Freeman, Drury, comma, a prospect, and a third-round pick to Colorado for Svechkov and Leroux. Willie Donick, your immediate reaction.
Wow, this is very fresh. So I have not had time really to think this through. During the break, we were scrambling to come up with some numbers on Jack Drury, especially. I also want to know if it's a real, quote, prospect and not just a guy.
Well, Pierre LeBrun says Chase Bradley. So why don't you Google Chase Bradley? Because it's Svechkov and Leroux for Drury, Chase Bradley, and Colorado's third-round pick in 2029.
I feel like 2029?
Yes.
I feel like Nashville has all of Colorado's third-round picks or at least had them at one time over the next. So what's the guy's name again? Bradley?
Chase Bradley.
Okay, we're going to have to get the file on Mr. Chase Bradley.
Yes, but while you're doing that, I just want to note that Fedor Svechkov and Zachary Leroux were both first-round picks of the Nashville Predators. Svechkov was the 19th overall pick in 2021. Leroux, if memory serves, was in the same draft class. He was 27th in 2021. So let's just list quickly some of the first-round picks the Predators have made in recent memory who aren't on the team anymore. Go back all the way to 2016. Dante Fabro, waived. 2017, Eli Tolvanen, waived. 2019, Philip Tomasino, he was traded, correct?
Correct.
2020, Yaroslav Askarov, traded. Now Fedor Svechkov, traded. Zachary Leroux, traded. Part of the issue why the Predators are where they are right now is because many of the first-round picks they've made over the past decade are not meaningful players for the team.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
And I still think, and I think that's a little bit of, you're right, why they are where they are. They haven't hit, and most of those guys are not high first-round picks. They're more mid to low first-round picks. Askarov would be one in a different category than some of the other ones. Chase Bradley, as I'm looking at it here, it does not appear that he is a high-end prospect. From what I can tell, maybe they see something that I don't.
But how does this make this team better? Is it just guys that he knows?
I'm clearing space on the roster. With Jack Drury and with Ross Colton, it appears that Chris McFarland, he thinks those guys are better, younger than Erik Haula, and in this case, probably better than Svechkov, who was very enigmatic, right? Svechkov, extremely popular.
Hold on, stop. What word did you just use to describe him?
Enigmatic.
Oh, thanks.
It's worthy of a bell.
Yeah. Would you agree? That fits.
Yes.
I mean, he's a really interesting kid, and he flashes moments of brilliance, but he also drove them crazy at the same time.
I had lost a little faith in his ability to be an everyday NHL player.
Yes, at least beyond, a fourth or third line.
Yeah.
I still think there's hope for him to be good, but he was reaching the point that Tomasino made. Hey, there's some good games in there. There's some games where like, hey, look what he did.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the start of something? And he's at the age where I think they believe that he's not going to turn into a great player. So are they better on the margins with Drury and the roster space? Now, the one that surprised me a little bit was that they would trade Leroux. I thought Leroux played well down the stretch last year. He had an injury-riddled first half of the year, and I thought he's a guy that still could take a jump and be a good, solid player. So that's surprised me a little bit. Drury, I think they're hoping the same thing that they're hoping for with Colton. Playing on a really deep team with Colorado, didn't get to play a whole lot, really good complementary player in the role. Could they be a little bit better on the Predators?
Yeah, I think that's fair. And Drury was part of the original Mikko Rantanen trade between Colorado and Carolina. And Drury was playing, I want to say, fourth line center.
Yes. And Drury, by the way, is a true center.
Yes.
Who takes a lot of faceoffs. And again, the value of a true center who is probably an upgrade on Svechkov, who was basically the fourth line center for the Predators, right? Fair to say?
Yes.
Who was not a good faceoff guy.
Yeah.
Drury is just a better player than Svechkov. But the root part of it is the one that I'm like, ooh, that's you better really like Drury. But
So,
Drury is young.
Yes,
right?
he is 26. He is a pending restricted free agent. So he needs a new contract. He was previously under a 2-year contract that paid him $1.725 million per year. He's been in the NHL for parts of 6 seasons. This past season with the Colorado Avalanche, 10 goals, 27 points in 82 games. Again, as the team's fourth line center. We'll take your reaction, 615-737-1025. Caleb says, love the trade. Those two guys, meaning Svechkov and LaRue, were misses. Matthew from Jolton says, Predators just got fleeced. So two varying opinions on the trade. But to me, it goes back to what I listed before, that this is part of the reason why the Predators are desperately missing that group of 23, 24, 25, 26-year-olds is because their first-round picks, many of their first-round picks in recent years have not panned out here. Again, Dante Fabro was waived. Eli Tolvanen was waived. Philip Tomasino was traded. Yaroslav Askarov was traded. I understand the situation with Askarov, Willie, but nevertheless, Askarov was traded. Now, Svechkov and LaRue have been traded. That's 6 players drafted in the first round between 2016 and 2021 who are no longer on the team.
That in and of itself doesn't bother me. It's what
it bothers me a little bit.
Well, but what did you get for him? I mean, that's going to be the question is, did you wheel them into something better?
Well, Fabro and Tolvanen, you didn't get anything because
Right.
you waived him. Tomasino, I don't remember what that trade. I don't honestly.
4th round pick.
Okay. And did they make that 4th round pick? I don't remember what came of Tomasino.
It might be this draft. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
I'll have to look.
Might have been last year.
I
Not
mean,
sure.
with Askarov,
But are you there becomes a point where a lot of picks, whether they're first round or second round, once you get to 22, 23 and you're not making it happen in your current address, you either have to sign him to a new contract and hold out hope, or you move on. So I don't think it's that uncommon for a pick that's, between 15 and 25 in some cases to just not be a huge impact player. They're going to be in the league, but are they really going to be an impact player in the league? Like we'll see if Tolvanen, Tolvanen is the one that obviously was one that burned them from the day that it happened, right? That was just bad. Fabro, are they really missing Dante Fabro? He's a good, solid defenseman. He's an NHL defenseman. So I would argue that hasn't killed them, but they didn't get anything for him. And these other ones, they're not turning into great players. Now, this is brand new, right? Svechkov and LaRue, especially LaRue. I was holding out some hope that he would be a guy that stuck, but now we'll see about Drury.
Now, they've added more draft picks to the draft picks they already got. How do you think they use all this? Is this a way for them to package this and either move up further in the draft or to package it and just become a better team as, making trades to become a better team?
It's a good question. They've wheeled and dealed so many third round picks, I've lost count. They just traded 2 the other day, and they just got one back today. I do think that the number of picks they have give them the ability to go make some deals like this. Maybe not, Adam, for the big names that are going to make the headlines around the league, but I think what you're seeing Chris McFarland do is he feels like these moves will make them better on the margins. And these guys are solid upgrades and in the age range that they're looking for, 26 to 29, rather than 32 and up or 21 and under. Does that make sense? I feel like that's the theme. And maybe they're they do well at the little things. They can be a little more consistent. They've been on winning teams, and maybe that will help the remaining prospects, which there are a lot of, be ready to find their path.
These moves, bringing in Drury, bringing in Ross Colton, they seem to signal to me, and you guys tell me if you agree or not. It signals to me that the Predators are, if like we were talking about with Greg in the first hour, if you think the Predators are going to really tear it down, it's not happening right now. Like, these are moves I think are made. I think these are moves made by a team that sees itself trying to compete this coming season. And whether or not that's just my gut feeling. Do you think that's a reasonable gut feeling to have, Willie?
I don't know. I can see it going either way. I used the reference at the end of last hour. If it's a 15-floor building, I like the idea of, because they have all these prospects, picks, salary cap space, do they have to go all the way down to the ground floor to get up to the 15th floor from where they are?
The trade, by the way, has now been made official. Jack Drury and Chase Bradley and a third-round pick in the 2029 NHL draft. That kid's probably doing his math homework right now. To Nashville in exchange for Fedor Svechkov and Zachary Leroux. So the trade has been made official. And I just got the email. First from the Colorado Avalanche, interestingly enough.
Nice that you're on that list.
Yeah, I know. To me, the other question, too, is, as you mentioned, Willie, Drury is a true center. Like yeah. Colton can play both. He played a lot of wing in Colorado because of all of the centers they had, including Drury. Does this signal another trade could be coming involving a center leaving Nashville?
Well, that I think is, when you say it looks like they're not going to break it down, that would be an argument of they still have the flexibility to go any number of directions. You got to have some people to play center. And when you have centers that are good, those are trade pieces as well. So there could be other moves coming for sure. So I don't know. Maybe too early to tell if they're going for the playoffs. But I think what I would define it is, they want to get better at the margins, and they're looking for that middle 20s guy to make their roster shape up a little bit more where they want it to be, right? Not too many mid-30s guys, not too many young guys who aren't ready to help them yet.
Quickly, one texter says, the prospect, quote unquote, in return is 24. The third is in 2029. On the surface, doesn't look great, but we'll see how it pans out. Hopefully, McFarland has other GM's phone numbers, because at some point, you've got to trade with someone other than Colorado. I mean, he's got a point there. 615-737-1025. The breaking news, the Predators have indeed made a trade. They have acquired forwards Jack Drury, prospect Chase Bradley, and Colorado's third-round pick in the 2019 draft, of course, from Colorado, for forwards Zachary Leroux and Fedor Svechkov. Your thoughts, 615-737-1025. We'll get back to this in just a little bit. Coming up next, Nick Suss of the Tennessean will join us as we talk Titans. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
All right, let's tell you about Twice Daily and their rewards program that they are showcasing for our audience here on 1025 The Game. We are certainly appreciative of having Twice Daily aboard as a sponsor of the show. And as I've talked about a lot with Twice Daily, they've always got the great refreshments, the pizza. We've talked about a lot of snacks the last couple of days on the show. They've got it all there at Twice Daily. And when you are on the rewards program, you're going to get those discounts and all the deals that are going to make it worth your while to keep going back there again and again. And the feature that they have that they want you to know about as they enter your consciousness here on our radio station is that you can always order pizza ahead of time. You can have it delivered to your house. You can pick it up at the store, but you can also just have it delivered to your house. And when you're part of that rewards program, you're going to get great deals on that pizza and all these other benefits by being at Twice Daily. So remember, go to any of their locations, ask about the rewards program. It's Twice Daily, fresh all day.
DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Let's go to our phone line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Nick Suss
See,
of the
music,
Tennessean.
This music, DMase, doesn't resonate with the younger people.
No, it doesn't.
Does it resonate with you, Nick?
Nick's in the.
I'm trying to place this, honestly. Like, I know it. I know this. I just, I'm struggling. What is it? What are we listening to?
You want to go from the top? Can you take it from the top, Connor? The beginning is the real thing, but you have to be a certain age, I think, to hit it.
Let's see. Connor's gonna take care of it for us in just a moment. Here we go. It doesn't ring a bell for me either.
It's the NFL today. Brent Musburger, back in the day.
Yeah, I was hearing like the theme to the Magnificent Seven. I thought it was like an old 50s like Western theme.
Yeah.
But no, that's NFL today. You're right.
Yeah. So, Nick, you wrote a story on the Tennessean. We discussed it a little bit yesterday. What should the Titans do next? 5 outside-the-box off-season recommendations. Of the 5 recommendations you made, which one do you think has the highest likelihood of happening?
I put them in order of realistic to me just making crap up because it's the off season. So the top of the article, extending Peter Skoronsky seems plausible. Going out and getting a veteran corner to add to the room feels somewhat plausible. I think all this stuff can happen. Towards the bottom, 5 is a better number than 3, I guess. So I just kept writing to fill the page. Look, if my ideas were good, I wouldn't be working for the newspaper. I'd be working for the team. But not to totally deflate the segment. Yeah, it's a fun exercise. You look at this team, you know it's not complete. You know it's a team that obviously could use any upgrade just about anywhere. But yeah, if we're talking about plausibility, there's a lot of high upside corners that you can go get on the veteran market. There are some edge rushers who I think would be super helpful if you could go get them and they'd be willing to play for a team that maybe isn't in the contention class right now. There's a couple of things you can do, but toward the end, we get to more of just me being creative for the sake of being creative aspect of the article.
Well, one thing I did like later in the article for the creative for the sake of being creative was your idea that the Titans should hire Pete Carroll as an analyst in a role similar to what Jim Schwartz held under Mike Vrabel and Mike McCoy held under Brian Callahan. I mean, I know, again, you're being creative for the sake of being creative, but what do you actually think about that idea of go ahead.
Yeah, obviously I like it. I think that Saleh and Gus Bradley both came from Pete Carroll's coaching tree. I think that if you look at the tentacles of what Pete Carroll has put into the NFL in the last 25 years, and also college football, a lot of disciples have been successful there as well. There's obviously a method to his madness. And you talk about, there were a lot of Seahawks guys that were on the team over the last couple of years that would talk about how much they liked playing for Pete Carroll, whether it was Tyler Lockett, whether it was Jamal Adams, a lot of these guys, Quandre Diggs would come through, talk about how beneficial the Pete Carroll system is. So having him around as a person that people like to play for is obviously a huge, huge deal, but also just another sounding board for Saleh as he's trying to figure out how to make it work as an NFL head coach on this rebound. The Seahawks weren't the first team that Pete Carroll ever coached. USC wasn't the first team that Carroll ever coached. He had a long history of coaching before he got the jobs that really started to work out and be championship teams for him. So having that kind of sounding board for Saleh in the building every day, I think would be a huge benefit if that was something they chose to do.
Talk with Nick Suss of the Tennessean. Now, Nick, another one of your outside the box moves was potentially trading Calvin Ridley for Stephon Diggs, or trading Calvin Ridley and bringing Stephon Diggs. I don't agree with it, but it is a interesting sort of move. It wouldn't be a bad move, I think, entirely, but I think for the sake of the quarterback, the rapport he has already built with Calvin Ridley, I think you just need to leave him there. But it is an interesting idea of moving Ridley to bring in Diggs.
Yeah, I'm not saying this just to defer. I think I agree with you. I honestly think that keeping Ridley is better in the sense that Ridley is more different from Parnell Tate than Stephon Diggs, who is a very similar profile receiver, and it might end up being redundant if you have two guys that play that way instead of Ridley, who's more of your straight ahead speed guy with some burst and explosion and all that stuff. I like the idea. Steph Diggs is just coming off of, he's had more success historically. He has generally been a more successful pro receiver, but Ridley's still a perennial 1,000-yard guy when he's healthy. I like the idea of keeping him around. The one reason I brought it up is I know that Carnell Tate looks up to the way Diggs plays in a way that could be a helpful mentorship, pass the torch type situation. Again, there's a lot of big-time receivers who haven't signed yet. You could substitute Keenan Allen in here if you want to talk about it. You can bring back DeAndre Hopkins. There are names on the market, but I think that when I watched Tate in college, and I'm curious to see if you agree with this at all, that when I think about best case scenario, who are the guys that if he reaches 100% of his potential, who's he going to be like? Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs were the two people that I most thought about. I don't think he's either of those guys yet. I'm not going to put way too much expectation on him, but there's something interesting about being mentored by somebody who, in a way, you play like.
Yeah, I look at him more so as a T. Higgins type because of the frame and his ability to go up. But comparing him, ultimately, if he can get to those guys' status, I don't think that would be a bad thing at all. Obviously, I think it would be a great thing for the Titans as well as Cam Ward. Now, they've gotten Jeffrey Simmons done. How long do you think it will be before they get Peter Skoronski done? Do you think this is a deal that they get done before the season, during the season, or do you think it's more so something they'll deal with in the off season?
Yeah, my guess is if it's not done by the middle to end of training camp, it'll be in the off season. There's obviously no huge rush from the Skoronski camp. If he comes out and plays as well as he did last year, this year, he's going to make more money. He's going to have a bigger contract. The Titans don't necessarily need to pinch pennies right now. They've got a lot of money to play with, so it's not a bad thing if he goes out and plays well, and you got to give him a bigger contract in the future. But just from the simple perspective of, at a certain point, you're going to extend the guy, and the longer you wait, the more money he's going to cost. Wouldn't be shocked if they tried to get it done in camp, kind of like they did with Amani Hooker at this time last year. He was extended early on when there were some questions about his long-term future. I think that's something teams do like to do. If they get it done before camp, awesome. If they get it done in these little 6 weeks here, but I don't get the feeling that it'll be something that is kind of looming over the regular season or anything like that.
We're talking to Nick Suss from the Tennessean, and Nick, let's take right now for granted that the Skoronski thing is going to get done at some point. Looking beyond that, where do you think they are on the future of J.C. Latham right now?
That's a trickier one. I think you need another year to see who he is before you determine how big you want to go. I'd kind of be surprised if they don't pick up the fifth-year option just because tackle is way too valuable of a position to take a gamble on that. Titans fans know that very much firsthand from Jack Conklin deal a couple of years back. But after that, when you look at the amount of money that tackles make, do you invest minimum $80 million in a guy who I think that maybe would have been a little bit underrated the way people talked about him last year? I don't think his season was as bad as some of the loudest fans online might point toward, but I still don't know if he's proven that he deserves top of the market contract money. So it's not a make or break year, because I think that if he's going to have to be a special kind of taking a step back for it to be a break year for him, but it very well could be a make year for him. So I don't know what the term is for make or break without the break, but he could definitely get to a point where he's in the same conversation Skoronski is this time next year. But I still do think that he's going to play out this rookie contract. It's going to be really hard for them to move off of him as they're still trying to prove you use the top 10 pick on a tackle. That's a premium draft pick with a premium contract attached to it. So they're going to do everything they can to try to make him the guy at the very least.
One of the things that intrigued me about your outlook for the next few weeks here, you listed a lot of guys that were pretty notable names that are still sitting out there because of one reason or another, injuries, age, combination of the two. And you noted a couple of times where the the Titans did make a move for somebody like that the last couple of years. Is there anybody on all the list of names that you put out there that intrigues you the most that might be a fit?
Oh, intrigues me the most versus might be a fit are probably different answers because, like, Von Miller is a Hall of Famer. Von Miller is going to be one of the best players that anybody saw in this generation. Obviously, that's intriguing if you can go get somebody of that caliber, but fit for what the Titans are building, fit for what makes somebody like Tre'Davious White, who's had a bunch of success historically. I really don't know how much tread is left on the tires, but that's
I think when you put when you put Adoree Jackson's name in there, I'll bet you there was some Titans fans that didn't know he was still in the league. It's been so long since he's played here, but he has stuck around for a while. I thought that was intriguing.
Yeah, that's another good one. I thought about Adoree as a option just because I know that people will be excited to bring back somebody who's a familiar face, a familiar name. He played last year. He's a guy who's capable of playing, and that's what makes this time of year so interesting. Of like, we'll take Joey Bosa as the example because he might be the guy who's going to command the most money if and when he signs somewhere. He's not going to sign somewhere to be a number 3. He's either going to go to a contender or he's going to be a number 1 somewhere. And so, I don't know. I think that in the case of Adoree, the question is he willing to come here to be a number 3 or number 4? Or is he trying to hold out to be a potential starter somewhere?
I don't know. That's always going to be a complication when you are trying to make these signings late in the year, because it's about fit, but it's also about how do they fit into their plans of who they might be able to be.
Nick Suss of the Tennessean has been our guest on DMase, Vingan, and Donick. Nick, as always, it's been a pleasure. We'll catch up soon.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
By the way, one texter says, this man's turn signal was confusing the mess out of me. I couldn't figure it out while I was driving. Nick obviously driving, which is okay. Hopefully it was hands-free, but he had his turn signal on. So somebody listening thought it was their turn signal. I can only imagine. I've been there.
Oh, man.
Where, we'll get back to it another time. 615-737-1025. All right, we're going to get back into the Predators. They made a trade within the past hour. They have traded Fedor Svechkov and Zachary Leroux to the Colorado Avalanche for basically center Jack Drury. Yet another trade. Both trades made by Chris McFarland as president of hockey operations and GM of the Predators have been with his old boss, Joe Sakic, in Colorado. We'll talk about that. We'll take your reaction. Again, the trade. Fedor Svechkov and Zachary Leroux traded from Nashville to Colorado for Jack Drury. The Predators also received a prospect by the name of Chase Bradley and a third-round pick in the 2029 NHL draft. That kid, by the way, probably right now doing his math homework, but we'll take your reaction to it. 615-737-1025 today. The Nashville Sounds take on the Gwinnett Stripers at First Horizon Park. First pitch is at 6:35. Catch all of the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks Family Leisure, Maple Street Biscuit Company, Mad Fireworks, and Social Cantina. DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 1025. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you, getting back into the Predators. They've been good to us the last week, making trades while we're on the air. We appreciate that. Thank you, Chris McFarland. McFarland makes his second trade as the head of the Predators front office, just like his first trade. It involves his former employer, the Colorado Avalanche. The Nashville Predators acquired forward Jack Drury. That's really all you need to know. A prospect named Chase Bradley and a 2029 third-round pick for Zachary Leroux and Fedor Svechkov. 2 first-round picks from 2021 out the door. Drury comes in. He's 26 years old, a true center, really solid defensive player. He isn't going to wow you offensively. But one thing we have been talking about, Willie, is the Predators need players in that age bracket, 23, 24, 25, 26. Players who are of that age, who have NHL experience, which Drury does. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's played parts of 6 seasons in the NHL. He was a part of the initial Mikko Rantanen trade from Colorado to Carolina. He went to Colorado along with Martin Necas in the original Mikko Rantanen trade. So,
Right.
look,
that was a 3-way trade that brought them Taylor Hall
Yes,
as well.
it
which
was
the underrated piece that put it over the top, I think,
Yes.
for Carolina.
some savvy
As it
work.
turned out. Yeah.
Some savvy work from the Hurricanes. We will take your reaction. 615-737-1025. Jeff says, you wanted to get away from the Predator way. Well, part of the problem is that the Predators have always drafted for the bottom 6 with a little upside, stepping in the right direction. I assume that means the trade is a step in the right direction. Sam says, the Preds need to trade all of their picks for established players if they want a chance. They haven't hit on a draft pick in 10 years. Arvidsson and Yossi are the only ones who have ever contributed. Organization is historically terrible at drafting. Ask Willie and Adam to name a prospect the Predators have hit on in the last 10 years. First of all, to say that Arvidsson and Yossi are the only ones the Predators have hit on, are you talking about within the past 10 years? Yossi was drafted more than 10 years ago.
Yeah, he was 2012. I will agree with him that the last 10 years, they have not hit a home run. You know, they went through a period of time when you look at the best ever Predators teams, right? The team that went to the finals in 2017, and you can wind it back a couple of years before that and a couple of years after that. So let's say from about 2015 to 2020, pretty good window where they were really good. Division, couple of division titles, a Western Conference championship, a President's Trophy. They hit on a lot of non-first round picks. Matthias Ekholm, Victor Arvidsson, UC Saros, Roman Yossi. None of those guys are first round picks. Those were great picks. And then Ryan Ellis and Shea Weber. Shea Weber, also not a first round pick. Pecorine, not a first round pick. So if you look at that crop, they went through a really good era of drafting a lot of good players. I'm probably forgetting them. Craig Smith, another second round pick. But in the last 10 years, I have to agree with the caller. They have not hit the home run. They've had a lot of players that have become NHL players, but they haven't blossomed into those cornerstone people. They're hoping that the current group that's aged right now between 19 and 2021 has a few of those gems. Let's hope Matt Wood is one of them. Let's see.
Well, you made a point during the break that was a smart point, if I do say so myself, to pat you on the back. Chris McFarland, he's been talking so much about the prospects. Brady Martin, Matthew Wood, I would still keep in that conversation because he's still so young. Riker Lee, Cameron Reed,
Igor Sorin, who can't even come to the North America for another year.
The times we've heard from McFarland, and by the way, he will address reporters tomorrow, I believe at 11 a.m., to preview the NHL draft. But when we've heard from him, he's brought up those prospects, often unprompted. He clearly sees a lot in those players. So you've got to make room for those players by moving out the prospects who aren't panning out, such as Fedor Svechkov and Zachary Leroux.
Yeah, they have too many prospects for the amount of slots they have. And that's why for this particular season, remember, this is still a project 3 or 4 years in the making. He's just starting. But when you have a big pool of 15 prospects, they can't all make it. There's not enough room for them, and they're not realistically all going to become great players. So you have to try to pick and choose who you're willing to move and who you really want to keep and build around. And I think of Drury as a guy that is going to be, first of all, I think he is still pretty young at 26.
Yes.
He's better. He has played way better hockey than Svechkov has played at this point. You kept waiting for Svechkov to get to a next level. He didn't do it. And maybe Colorado sees a guy that can flash, and on that team, maybe he does better for them. Maybe it does start connecting the dots.
Or Svechkov goes the way of another former Predators player who was traded to the Colorado Avalanche. Different situation because of where they were drafted. Juuso Parson.
Yeah, but Juuso Parson got to a point where they thought he was going to be something pretty good for Nashville. I was encouraged by him. And then he just never got to the next level. Same thing happened with Tomasino. And so you can't argue with somebody that says, what's the deal? They haven't drafted great in the last 10 years.
By the way, because you guys were curious, Drury and Colton played 240 minutes and 20 seconds together at even strength last season in Colorado. So they do have familiarity with each other. So it's possible they could be line mates here in Nashville. Let's go to our phone line driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com, and welcome in Ryan in Nashville. Ryan, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. The only thing I'm thinking with these moves is McFarland selling these bets going, hey, this is your chance to prove that you guys are still together or I'm blowing this team up at the trade deadline. The only thing I can think of is the reason he's moving other than making a move for the prospects, but that might be what his thing is going, look, here's your chance. Prove me wrong that you guys can actually do this. And if not, then at trade deadline, we're going to blow this up and see where we go.
Thank you, Ryan. And I
think he's got some flexibility along those lines.
Right. But like Drury, again, 26 years old, I believe, let's see, was his career high in points what he had this season. He had 27 points this season, 10 goals.
All at even strength, by the way.
Yes, 10 goals, 27 points. He had 27 points a few years ago for the Hurricanes, but he only had 8 goals. So, best season of his career, playing for a loaded team in Colorado, but he played a key role in the bottom 6. Jack Drury is not going to wow you offensively. That's not his role. You need players like Drury to be a part of a successful team. But it does lead me to wonder, along the lines of Ryan's point, now you have a little bit more of a safety blanket, I guess you could say. Again, I don't expect Jack Drury to play first line center for the Nashville Predators. But if you ultimately decide to trade Ryan O'Reilly, you at least have another true center who can pick up some of the slack. He's not Ryan O'Reilly. Let's not kid ourselves. But you have someone who can help pick up the slack if you decide to do that. And as we talked about earlier in the show, before this trade went down, there is a world where Chris McFarland can do two things at the same time. He can bring in players such as Ross Colton and Jack Drury and try to help this team right now. But he can then trade other prospects, draft picks, and try to take a big swing at someone who's a bit more of a needle mover offensively, like we've seen some of these moves that have been made around the NHL over the past couple of days.
Do you think he's thinking that if I can make the bottom of this lineup better, then that'll help the other guys out instead of trying to break it down, trying to trade away some of these top guys and trying to get draft picks or just trying to bring in younger players, that if I build up the bottom half of my lineup, then that will inherently, especially during the middle part of the season, it's going to make us better.
I think so. I think getting better on the margins is what the hope is here for McFarland. And I think it's also a signal that he likes the next wave of prospects better than the prospects that are aging a little bit more. That both LaRue and Svechkov were first-round picks that were sort of hitting the stage of their career. It was like, what are they? And do we want to keep them, or is it time to move on? And it looks like McFarland, in his evaluation, was that Svechkov and LaRue are going to be NHL players, but that Drury is an upgrade at least for now, and he's still 26. You know, he could be he could be a good role player for a while. He's been a high-end fourth-line center on a very deep, the best team in hockey in the regular season. So does that mean he could even play some third-line center for this Predators team? Maybe. He's a really good penalty killer. He's going to win faceoffs. He's not going to score a ton. I think of him as, the role players they traded, McCarron, Cole Smith, they needed to replace that.
Bunting.
I thought LaRue was maybe a decent replacement for Cole Smith, but evidently Chris McFarland didn't think so. But Drury, I think, will play a lot of that role where he could be a reliable guy that you could put out there at the end of a game like they did with McCarron a lot. They didn't have that after they traded McCarron, so they needed to replace that in some form.
One texter says, this seems bad. This is Sean. This seems bad. Dumping 2 first-round prospects still early in their NHL careers for a third or fourth line center. I don't know, guys. Seems like this is a move at least a year too soon. But let's talk quickly about Fedor Svechkov. All right. Svechkov is 23. He has played 122 games in the NHL. There is still room for Svechkov to grow. Absolutely no doubt about it. But I feel like he was reaching a point where it's okay. What's the clean way I can say this? Either poop or get off the
pot.
Yeah,
the porcelain throne.
Yes, like Svechkov, to me, he didn't bring much to the table. I thought this past season was a major disappointment.
No question.
And I know there have been studies done about this, like how many games does an NHL player need to play before you know what he is? I feel like 122 games over 2 seasons for Svechkov is still like below that line.
Yeah, it's right on the border.
But you're getting there.
Yeah.
So like could Svechkov turn out to be a really solid role player in the NHL? Sure. But I feel like
that's what Drury is.
Right.
Already. And he's only 26.
Right. And you need players like that on your team. Like, to me, moving off of Svechkov, like, I'm not too broken up about it. I just like you're getting a more proven player who is in an age range the Predators need. Now, he's not the exciting player who's going to score 40 goals and take butts out of seats. And the Predators do need those players. Let's not mistake that. Yeah. But it's an interesting trade, and we will discuss it more coming up next. 615-737-1025. Again, the breaking news within the past hour or so, the Predators have gotten in on the fun in the NHL offseason. It isn't the splashiest trade, but the Predators acquired Jack Drury from the Colorado Avalanche for Fedor Svechkov and Zachary Leroux. 615-737-1025. Also coming up in the next hour of the program, a really interesting story dropped about something we spent a lot of time talking about earlier this year. We'll discuss that coming up next as well. 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingen. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 1025. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and Connor Newt here with you. In case you missed it at the beginning of the show, Willie tried his first Uncrustable, and he did not like it, and it makes me sad. And Derek Mason, too good. He's too good to eat Uncrustables. Look at the
Damn
bread.
right.
Look at the bread. Look at this. Look at that.
Yeah.
I'm too good. I mean, meanwhile, you always come in here like a doomsday prepper with all of the snacks and stuff
Absolutely.
that you have.
I'm not gonna eat no.
You poo-pooed an Uncrustable while opening a
Uncrustable.
bag of Doritos.
There's
What do you
something-
think is worse for you?
Uncrustables?
That's
Hence, I'm not eating it.
that's preposterous.
I don't know how long those things have been in your box, even before they
were
got
in
to
the
your house.
freezer.
It doesn't matter. It probably was in somebody else's freezer before you even got it for about 8 months.
Is this the new
There you
Civil
go.
War here?
Uncrustables?
Yes.
All right, I need y'all to pick a side.
The Avengers.
615-737-1025. Are you pro or anti-Uncrustable? The show is split 50-50. Connor and I are pro. You're pro, right, Connor? You're
Absolutely
pro.
I'm
Okay.
pro.
Yeah, because he knows what he's talking about. These old heads over here, they don't know what the hell they're
Con.
talking about.
We're con.
Yes, you're anti-Uncrustable. Just a preposterous take. 615-737-1025. We're continuing to react to the breaking news within the past hour or so. The Predators have made another trade involving the Colorado Avalanche. Also, sidebar, Chris McFarland, if you're listening, you're probably not, but if you catch the podcast later, I want you to hear me. If you're intent on continuing to trade with Joe Sakic, can you get Nathan McKinnon? Can you get Cale Makar?
Got to get away your whole team.
Well, I mean,
I'm gonna have to
Nathan-
get back to you on that one.
but I mean, if you're gonna just keep dealing with your old boss, which is fine, I've got no problem with it necessarily. Just ask about Nate Dogg. That's all I'm saying. But the trade the Predators made during our program, they acquired center Jack Drury, prospect Chase Bradley, and a 2029 third-round pick for Zachary Leroux and Fedor Svechkov. One texter reacting to the trade says, this is Scott, boo on the trade. He says, boo, this team is going to get bullied. Zachary Leroux especially played a valuable role in the stand up for your team role.
I don't know about that.
He was
a disturber,
indeed,
an agitator,
not really,
but
not really a
stand-up,
fighter,
not a fighter,
not a fighter.
not a fighter. Don't misinterpret.
I say this as
he's the guy that you have to go and clean up the
Pull it.
mess.
Yes.
Look,
You got to pull him
this-
away.
Right.
I say this like this is a term that I think it might be a term of endearment in hockey, depending on who you ask. Zachary Leroux is a rat. Like,
yes.
he's going to get in your face. He's going to make you want to punch him. But when push comes to shove, he's probably not going to punch back. Like,
right.
He's the agitator. He wants you to be so pissed at him, you'll take the retaliatory penalty, and the Predators will go on the power play. Now it's the Avalanche going on the power play.
And he's got a decent amount of skill. Not going to blow you away, but he can have a skilled goal. He can hit a little bit. He's a good penalty killer. He brings some things to the table. I certainly was not down, just out on him. I thought he could carve out a good role, but I think at this point, you probably think his ceiling is not, top six, right? He's a middle six to bottom six guy who plays that specific role. Do you agree with that assessment?
Right.
Adam? Like, could he score 20 goals? Maybe as a maximum?
I think
I think 15, maybe.
I think everybody, like when the Predators drafted Zachary Leroux and they saw his lengthy suspension history in junior hockey and other places, like when you draft a player like that, you're hoping he becomes Tom Wilson. You're hoping he becomes a guy who can hit and fight and score 30 goals. Because I believe Tom Wilson has scored 30 goals.
But Tom Wilson is
twice he has
monster.
scored 30 goals.
He's
Yes,
a monster.
he is.
He's
he
a
is.
big, strong. He is a fighter. Leroux
Yes.
is not.
Right. But like you're hoping that Leroux could become like a lighter version, a diet version of Tom Wilson. But now he's in Colorado. We'll see where his career goes from there. By the way, Ryan in Nashville says he's on pro Crustable times 3. His wife, daughter, and he say yes. Keith says anti-Uncrustable. Team Willy and DMase. For those,
I think is the split.
I'm going to track those of you who are anti. I'm just because my side is correct.
You sound like the government.
Have you had the honey ones? Maybe they would like those better.
Well, I'm not going to waste good Uncrustables on these two.
Yeah, they're ungrateful.
Yeah, don't waste them on me because
They
they're going to sit here.
I made a point to put them in my lunchbox
Mhm.
today to bring them for Willie and Derek. I even wrote myself a little reminder: bring Uncrustables for Willie and Derek. And Derek, I've never seen Derek, sneer at something in my life.
Well, Willie, he did the kind thing.
Yeah. Well, I agreed
He
to it
ate
yesterday.
it begrudgingly. I just begrudgingly didn't eat it.
Rebecca says the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago told me on a tour that coal dust is used in the coating of Doritos. So
Okay.
take that, Derek Mason.
Hey,
Why don't you eat those?
and we've eaten worse, okay? So I'll take the coal dust. Take the coal dust.
Oh, man.
Right.
Doritos are so good.
Absolutely. No, okay.
Go ahead.
Has this, with the moves that they've made, and I know
We're including Ross Colton from
Ross
last week.
Colton from last week,
New friend of the
Drury,
show, Ross Colton.
everybody. Is this a better team in the margins?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, you said quickly yes.
Colton and Drury are established NHL players. Again, they are not players who are going to wow you like Philip Forsberg. That's not their role. Their role, Colton's role, is to be versatile. He can score. He's not a penalty killer. He can move around the lineup. Ideally, I think he's a third line winger. Drury is as true of a bottom six defensive center as you could possibly get. And he's very good at it. One texter says, what can you tell us about the return in today's trade? So let's focus on Drury, because Chase Bradley, the prospect, I don't know anything about him.
I think he is a Milwaukee depth guy.
I don't think he's
must
a,
for now.
They must like something about him to have him come into the deal. I don't know if it's a matter of Colorado had to get rid of a contract and
Maybe.
they could say, you can take your pick among these guys. But I would not put him down as a guy that will likely start off. He's an underdog, I think, to make any impact. So it's really about Drury in this pick.
So,
this trade.
so let's tell you about Jack Drury quickly. Jack Drury, he has been in the NHL for parts of 5 seasons, actually. I thought it was 6, but he's been in the NHL for parts of 5 seasons. He was part of the trade from Carolina to Colorado that involved Mikko Rantanen, the first Mikko Rantanen trade, the one that included Martin Necas. Drury, he's 26. I probably already said that. He's from New York, New York. He is the nephew of Chris Drury, the former NHL player and current GM of the New York Rangers. So he comes from a hockey family. He went to Harvard. That's how you have to say it. Harvard. Like Willie would say, oh, how can you lose to Vanderbilt? You have to say it. He went to Harvard. So probably a smart cookie. This past season, he had 10 goals, 27 points in 82 games. But putting up points is not his role. His role is to play solid defense. I'd have to look deeper into the numbers in terms of his matchups, but I'm sure he's probably taking tough matchups, playing head-to-head against the other team's top players, plays a lot of penalty kill. So again, like Drury, he does.
That's not nothing, right?
No,
Like,
you need players like
he's a good role player.
Yes,
who plays center, which is hard to find those guys.
Right. So, again, Drury is a player who, if he does his job well, you're probably not like really noticing him on the ice necessarily. He does a lot of little things really well. He's not going to go end to end and deke through 6, not 6 guys, because that would be too many men on the ice. He's going to deke through 5 guys and score in between his legs on a breakaway. Like, that's not his game. He does the little things well. Like, he's the like I used to say this, a lot when I was reporting. Like, if you don't notice Jack Drury, that means he's playing well, because he's not making some grave error. He's not giving up a lot of goals when he's on the ice. But that's how I would quickly describe Drury. Did I nail it, Willie?
I think so, yeah. And I would think, take what Haula and McCarron, what those roles were. Drury, I think they feel like can fill some of that as a veteran. And he's only 26. Once they traded McCarron, you had Svechkov in that role of the fourth line center. And I think they just believe that Drury is way, way more advanced than Svechkov in those things that you need from a fourth line center. And I think they had gotten to the point where they didn't think that's, at least in their evaluation, that the light bulb was going to go on for Svechkov, that he would A, be a great fourth line center, or B, have the light go on to where he is a scoring center and you play him higher in the lineup. So I think they thought Drury's in the age range we want, maybe with even more opportunity. His numbers might even look better. You looked at his analytics, and of course, it's easier to have good analytics when you're on a really good team.
Yes.
But his analytics defensively are really, really impressive.
Sean has 2 texts. They're both good, so I will read both of them. One says, is Jack Drury Colton Sissons 2.0? I think they share some similarities.
Some, yeah. I think face-off guy can put him against top players. No question about it. He is a true center. I haven't watched him enough to know if he's rugged. Colton Sissons was a guy in his best days that you could stick on the second power play too, and not, he had enough skill to score you 15 goals. And Drury has not done that. He's never scored more than 10. I think that's right.
Yeah.
But Sissons, like I said, he could get a little power play time here and there. I wonder if Drury will expand his role at all. But the combination of Colton and Drury, who have played together a lot, I think they're going to probably early on lean on that some, because I'm just doodling right now, Adam, and looking at a potential group of forwards. I haven't gotten to the D yet. Do you want to hear what I've got?
Let's hear it.
Okay, so let's just say that the top 6 in some combination, as we sit here now, they're just starting the offseason. There could be more changes. Forsberg, O'Reilly, Evangelista, Stamkos, Wood, and let's put Marchessault in there now. Like if it's the best version of Marchessault, he's got to play in the top 6.
Yeah.
Right. Then in the bottom 6, you have let's put Drury and Colton together on a third line, a checking line that you think can play against top guys, and let's throw Joachim Kemmel on there. This is a critical year for Kemmel, right? This right now, the way I look at the depth chart, as we sit here today on June 24th or whatever we are,
June 24th.
Kemmel, I see Kemmel as a guy that's like, hey, I got a shot here. I could win some time. Now, they might bring in 2 or 3 other guys, and it could look different. Then the fourth line, let's say you got some combination of Brady Martin, Reed Schaefer, Ozzy Weisblatt. And then the wild card is Vitaly Pinchuk, the guy that they signed out of the KHL. I know that they have plans for him. The question is where. And that's why the versatility of Colton will come in handy there. Because maybe in a perfect world, it's Pinchuk that's playing the third line center, or maybe even slides into the top 6 if he's better than you think. But he's a guy to watch out for. Then you've got David Edstrom, who is now getting to an age where maybe you'll start to see him play some NHL games. He was a principal part of the Yaroslav Askarov trade.
Yes.
Right? He's a big centerman, probably not a finished product. And then Cole O'Hara would be in that next group of guys, I would say, that flashed at the very end of the season. He had a really good start to Milwaukee. And then you've got UFAs, Haula and Jost, who I don't know if they have any intention of bringing either one of those guys back. I would guess probably not at this point. So would you say that's somewhat of an assessment? I don't think I'm forgetting anybody. And as I look at that, the key here is going to be, is Brady Martin ready to help them at all? And is Vitaly Pinchuk going to be a guy that halfway through the season, you're like, why did they bring this guy over here? Or, hey, this was a great find from the KHL. This guy's helping him.
Sean's other text message was, someone should tell Derek about the volume of Uncrustables the NFL pounds. It's like 4,000 per week. We talked about this.
We hit that yesterday.
I told Derek about this, but it doesn't matter to Derek.
It doesn't. Why do you think Salah said
no seed oils?
No seed oils.
Because, I mean, I don't know.
So Uncrustables, no more.
I mean, look, if I had to give up Uncrustable, if someone said, Adam, if the genie from Aladdin, I rub the lamp and he pops out, and hopefully it's Robin Williams, although I do like Dan Castellaneta as the genie as well. If the genie says, you can look like Robert Saleh, but you can never eat one drop of seed oil ever again, I might take that deal. I mean, Robert Saleh, say what you will about his coaching, he takes care of himself, and we would all strive to look like Robert Saleh. I mean, did you see Rod Brindamore celebrating with the Stanley Cup? The guy has no body fat, and he's like 55 years old. I mean, I'm not going to look like that when I'm 55. Let's end on this. Willie, give me your answer in 60 seconds from this texter. Is there anything we can deduce about the direction McFarland is taking the team based on these first couple of moves?
I define it as trying to get better on the margins and creating some flexibility. As I look at their roster right now, especially moving away from two what do I haves in Svechkov and LaRue. He's pared down the prospect list. He's added two guys who are what I would call steady vets who are still in their 20s, Colton and Drury. So better on the margins and flexible to either move up or move back. So it's still not clear in my mind whether they're I don't think it's going to be a go for it. I think it's going to be, can I get better on the margins, be competitive, and then see where the season goes to determine what to do next.
615-737-1025. Coming up next, the New York Times drops an interesting story today about something we've talked a lot about over the past couple of months. We'll hit on that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
All right, let's talk Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto knows that you're aware, if you have credit card bills, that those interest rates can really eat up your monthly budget. So why not look to save money each month? A lot of their clients, and they advertise this all the time, using the home equity that you have built up to access thousands of dollars in cash is going to put you in a better spot. One client, using the Rapid Equity Loan Program from Loan Pronto, borrowed $100,000, got it approved, and ended up saving over $1,500 a month because you can attack bills that have higher interest rates, get those down to zero, don't have to worry about them, their history, and you have a better interest rate going forward. You can do all of this from your phone, zero out of pocket, no hard credit pull up front, no appraisal, no long drawn-out bank process, no touching your first mortgage. So go to loanpronto.com, see how much money you can get, and then see how much you can save, and it won't take you long. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Good stuff. I like when something like this happens. We can pivot, freshen it up.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just good to have new news hit you while when the show's going on.
Now you said your
And
first
you can
lineup.
save some of these elements.
You said your first lineup would be Forsberg, O'Reilly, Evangelista, then Stamkos,
Wood and Marshall.
Marchessault.
Who was your third line, Willie?
Schaefer, Drury, and
I've
Matthew
got
Wood.
Ross Colton, Drury, and I've got Kimmel there. You could probably see a number of different guys there, depending on their.
So those are guys that be interchangeable.
And then, well, I think ideally Pinchuk is in there.
DMase, Vingen, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Of course, we are cheering for the US of A in the World Cup, but I have developed a soft spot for the Scots, and it's not going well for the Scots. They're down 2-0 to Brazil.
They are reviewing the second goal, though. The Tartan Army is on bated breath right now, hoping that they will disallow
This game is in Miami. Is that correct?
What are they actually reviewing?
I don't know.
He tripped.
Did he trip him?
What I want to know
Should have
is
been a foul. Let's see what the call is. Now they're trying to get everybody away from the ref so the guy could make a call.
You make the call.
He's
Well,
on the
we can
mic
tell
now.
by their body language.
Let's
make
watch the
the
reaction.
call.
No go. I don't think that's. Oh, what is he going to do?
Did they take the
They
goal
took
off the
the goal
board?
off the board.
Okay.
Yeah. No go.
The Scots are still within one.
Here's
They
what
got a
I
tall order though. Brazil is no joke.
Yes, here's what I want to know. I haven't read any stories about the Scots drinking every beer in Miami.
Not yet.
Do you
The
think
day is young.
Do you think they're changing it up, going with something a bit more tropical, perhaps?
Well, that's a good thought.
I don't see Scots drinking alcohol with little umbrellas in it or anything like that.
Unless they want to branch out.
Yeah, try something new.
Do you think they're branching out? No. They want what they want. You don't branch out during, World Cup. You stay with what got you there.
You got your go-to.
Exactly. Got your go-to.
And I would think too that Miami as a city, they went to school. They
Exactly.
saw what happened in Boston.
Absolutely.
They started ordering beer last week, saying we got to get as much beer as we can.
Absolutely.
The Scottish Army, the Tartan Army is coming.
Sean says, I bet Derek enjoys grape nut cereal or plain oatmeal for breakfast every day.
Plain oatmeal? No, I gotta add some brown sugar in it if I do eat it.
Grape nuts is the
grape
all-time
nuts.
deek of a young kid that loves cereal.
Mhm.
That happened to me. Like you see grape nuts, like grape nuts, grape.
It's not what you
It's going to
think.
be awesome.
No.
Let's try this, and then it is anything but grape. There is no grape in the grape nuts. I'm like, where's the grape?
None whatsoever.
You would have to pour grape juice on top of it to feel any grape flavor.
One texter suggests that the Scottish soccer fans try out some mojitos. I love a mojito.
Nothing wrong with that.
Right. All right. So today in the New York Times, there was a long feature story written by Catherine Rossman and Ken Belson with the headline, Diana Russini was an NFL insider. Insider in quotes. Was she also out of bounds? Miss Russini's closest to a coach, Mike Vrabel of the New England Patriots, led to her breakup with The Athletic and its parent, the New York Times Company. And it's a really interesting story. And I've read and heard a lot of commentary about the story, some of the newsier tidbits within the story, how the story has been presented. One thing people are running away with is that apparently she made around $800,000 for The Athletic, which is not a small sum of money, perhaps.
Well, they reference in the article where that would rank among
fourth,
the
wasn't it?
employees at the New York Times. Way
I
up
think
there.
that's fourth amongst.
It said this would have made her one of the highest paid journalists at the Times Company,
At the whole Times Company.
at the entire Times Company. So that includes like people who write about war and
Right.
the
The
presidency.
Middle East, all
Yes.
that's important stuff.
Right. But there were some anecdotes in here that were really interesting. The opening anecdote was about how Russini was pulled over for texting and driving the day that the Buffalo Bills fired Sean McDermott. And apparently she got out of the ticket by FaceTiming the police officer's favorite NFL coach, the coach of his favorite NFL team. That coach, by the way, was not identified in the story. And
But it was not Mike Vrabel.
It was not Mike Vrabel, apparently. And a lot of, and this is where the challenging thing is when it comes to a story like this. A lot of the anecdotes in the story are pulled from various podcast appearances that she's made, whether it was on Stu Gotz's show or Katie Nolan's podcast. There was an interesting part at the bottom of the story about the New York Times reporters contacting Russini and the rules of being on or off the record.
Mhm.
But there's really only so much you can report on when the people who are the major parts of the story are being uncooperative. Rossini declined multiple opportunities to be involved in the story. Mike Vrabel did not involve himself in the story. The higher ups, the chief executives of the New York Times did not involve themselves in the story, they were not made available for comment. But Willie and Derek, as you read this story, like what stood out to you? Because I think it's as a journalism nerd, I found the story to be really fascinating. But what stood out to you about the reporting of this story?
Well, I think one thing you just brought up, where it's you can do the story, but we're not promising you that anyone will comment on the story. Because I think the last thing that you want to happen as the New York Times or the Athletic is nobody write about it. And then everybody's saying, well, you're trying to cover up whatever story's out there. Well, you can write about it, but we're not going to give you the opportunity for a comment on anything that you're pushing out. That's one. I think two is not in the big scheme of things, I don't think it bothers me, and it has nothing to do with her being a woman, because I'm pretty sure men that work in that business, they may have, hey, I know such and such. Here, listen, your favorite coach or your favorite player. I'm sure they all have done it, but I'm not sure they've all been vocal about it like she has. Like she's went on, platforms and have said things that she's done. And I'm thinking, like, why would you do that? Not to say it's not happening, but why would you because now you're giving people a reason to think, oh, you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing, and you're going to be so blatant about it because no one's going to do anything about it to you, meaning your employers. I just found that weird that you would, especially the story about her and the police officer. Why would you even say that?
I think that was an intriguing part of the article, is that you could see a pattern of her flaunting her style.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of wanted to develop that. She wanted to be a character on the big podcast, in addition to being the newsbreaker. So she had that going. And I don't know what people that were close to her were advising her to do. I know this. Not that I'm Mr. Connections or whatever, but when you've been in the market for a long time and you have somewhat of a public persona, I would never bargain with a police officer trying to get out of a ticket by saying, "Can I do this for you?" Like she tried to think on her feet. Oh, I can't get a ticket, so I'm going to use. I'm Diana Rossini. I can put you on the phone call with your favorite NFL coach. Mm-hmm. Is that really a time to play that card? I just.
But even if you play it, why say it? Why?
Right. But just why would you use that cachet that you have there? Like it's a ticket. Like talk to the officer and say, I messed up. I'm doing some work. But you're really gonna, like, she gladly told the story publicly. I was like, how did they find this out? Then I realized she told everybody.
Exactly.
She wanted it out there. Yeah, I got out of a ticket because I'm Diana Rossini. I could hook up the police officer. That's like a little mini bribe, right?
It is. It's not a mini bribe. It's a bribe, flat out.
I wouldn't be going around telling everybody I bribed a police officer.
And that's the thing.
But I wouldn't do it to begin with. It's not worth it, even though you have the ability maybe to do it.
Well, look, and again, this is going to get a bit. I think this is the word, and I think it's worthy.
Wait, is it the word of the day?
It is not.
You still haven't used it.
Yeah,
still haven't used it. It's 5:34.
You got 26 minutes.
In the pantheon of outstanding snacks, Uncrustables is second to none. Okay, so here's what this might get a bit. I think the word is wonky when I'm talking about this, but that story about the police officer and the FaceTime, I think it goes to show you just how journalistic standards have shifted over the years, but also depending on what line of journalism you're in. This is not to say that quote unquote insiders are not journalists. Albert Breer, we reference Albert Breer a lot on this program. He is an insider. I think he's also a very good journalist. Sometimes, but at the same time, Jay Glazer, also an insider. I don't consider Jay Glazer a journalist.
He's a very different way of going about it.
He considers himself
than Breer does.
Right. Like
both
Breer
are good at what they do, but they're doing different things.
Right. Breer comports himself as a traditional journalist. Glazer is open about, hey, I train MMA with NFL players and I host a drinking party at every owner's meeting with all of the coaches. Like, it's a completely different thing. But there was an anecdote in the story about how the Times reached out to Rossini for an interview, and she responded via text. And then the reporters came back and were like, we're going to include parts of this exchange in the story. And she was like, I thought it was off the record. Well, I mean, it wasn't, because you did not establish it was off the record when you were exchanging the text messages with the reporters. Again, I don't want to get too journalism nerdy here, but this does seem like an appetizer for this investigation that the Athletic has been doing into her reporting based on all of the pictures and stuff that have come out with Mike Vrabel. And there's, of course, a section in here about Vrabel and the time she spent in Nashville a few years ago, a lot of games, a lot of covering the Titans. But this feels like an appetizer for what could happen. And I'm not sure if the Athletic is going to publish its findings, but someone's certainly going to leak it.
One of the funniest stories, it may have been the funniest story in there, is when, and I'm just trying to figure out, do I believe that or not? When the whole rolling of the dice and throwing 13.
Oh, okay, hold on. We do have to find this.
Julio Jones, and I knew it was Julio.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, seriously?
Okay, on one occasion, she suggested she had a sixth sense for news. In June 2021, after breaking the story that the Atlanta Falcons had traded the wide receiver Julio Jones to the Tennessee Titans, she went on television and told the story about receiving a sign while gambling at a bachelorette party in Atlantic City. Quote, she said this on Get Up. I'm at the roulette table on Saturday night around 11 p.m., and I hit black 11. Aware that Mr. Jones wore number 11 for Atlanta, Miss Rossini recalled telling someone else in their party, that's Julio. Something's up. She called her sources and confirmed her hunch. I'm a witch, Miss Rossini
Magical
said.
powers.
Yes.
I'm not sure how much, could happen. I don't know.
It's a very strange thing. Yeah. The whole thing is very strange.
I thought from a historical standpoint, I thought the story does a good job of tracking based on everything that's public and everything that came out with the pictures, putting together the timeline of when the relationship with Vrabel likely started, then sort of following you through. Here's when these pictures came out. Here's when this took place. Here's where that took place. And all the way up to when apparently the New York Post knocked on her window and said, what are your comments on these pictures? And she had to sort of think on her feet of, I was there with friends. Maybe that's why she went sideways. Instead of saying, I have no comment on it right now, can I call you later tonight? It sounds like she just made up that story right there. And obviously that's what her downfall was, when they could not corroborate the friends.
What she said.
It
was almost like all of this started during the pandemic.
Yes.
And it sort of all just kind of
right. I thought that was interesting. Yeah. The pictures of her on the boat while she was pregnant.
Oh God. I'm just trying. In Putnam County.
But they're careful. They're careful not to make any conclusion about defining exactly what the relationship was. So they danced around it. They kind of said, here's everything that we know. You guys decide.
Well, you don't want to be sued for libel.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You
don't. So that was very, you would expect the New York Times, the journalistic boundaries that they keep, the information that they have.
Quickly, let's go to Dylan and Antioch on our phone line. Dylan, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Hey guys. This is the first hearing of it. And just my initial impression is, if you're the coach she's calling and, you're a busy guy, you're trying to do your job for your team and all, and you get a FaceTime call trying to get out of a ticket. She was, a very credible journalist. The New York Times is not some two-bit organization. So, you got to be thinking, like, if she's doing this, like, what? It just doesn't seem like she was taking herself very seriously. And if you're a coach, doesn't that kind of seem like a red flag? You know, like you got to hang up and be like, what just happened? You know, kind of thing. But, you know, I feel bad about the whole thing that happened. You know, people make mistakes, but it just seems like kind of alarming behavior, I guess, if you're a coach. And I don't know. I just wanted to get that thought in there, guys. But thanks, y'all. Have a good day.
Thanks, Dylan.
I think he asked a good question. That for me, I would put it like this. At any point during these years where she was building this persona and this image, which was clearly out in front talking about how she's going about to get the story, she was dynamic for us, right? Even in her prime, before any of this happened. Knowing the relationship was growing in some form, did Vrabel ever say, I need to back away from this because of the way she's going about it? Or was he just blinded by...
He wasn't blinded. He knew exactly what he was doing.
But if you were advising him, you watched him.
If I'm like somebody on the side
about this,
if I'm somebody on the side, I would be like, man, she spilled the beans on some stuff, so she may,
this may not always be a good thing.
Absolutely, I can see that, but I think he went in eyes wide open.
615-737-1025. We'll keep you abreast of any developments. Yeah.
That was Mike Vrabel.
615-737-1025. We're going to wrap up the show coming up next before we get in trouble. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025, The Game. DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan with you. Wrapping up today's program. Tomorrow, we will be live at First Horizon Park, where the Nashville Sounds host the Gwinnett Stripers.
Thursday night, AAA baseball.
When that music came on, you knew what time it was.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I love this because it's the original.
Exactly. Yes.
Over the years, sometimes they soup it up, they tweak it a
change
little bit. This is
yeah.
still the one that resonates.
Yes.
Man.
By the way, tomorrow, this is interesting. Tomorrow at the Sounds game, it's the wristband mixer. So if you're looking to meet someone new, join us at the ballpark. Apparently, you can grab a wristband and mingle, and there are 5 colors. Blue, if you're single. Green, if you're taken. Also, if you're taken, why are you mingling? Red, it's complicated. Orange, you're a wing person. And yellow, just there for the vibes.
Can you wear all of them?
That would be very confusing.
This is my chance. This is my big break right here.
I think you could be the right
Connor.
person for this.
Yes.
I think I should show. What is it? Do I have to wear blue?
You have to wear a blue wristband.
Yeah,
you don't have to wear a
perfect.
blue shirt. I mean, you have plenty of blue shirts. You're a
plenty of
Kentucky fan,
Go
but
get
you just
your
have to
blue
wear
wristband.
just to wear a blue wristband.
This is my opportunity.
Or you could just be out there for the vibe.
Ladies, if you're listening and you would like to meet Connor,
Wear blue.
Yeah.
go to First Horizon Park tomorrow, 6:35 p.m., and grab a blue wristband, and you can mingle with Connie himself.
I'll be the one alone in the corner.
No,
That's-
you wouldn't.
That's him in the spotlight, losing his religion.
You'd be out there.
See what I did there?
Nice.
You
I
Oh,
thought you
yeah.
might appreciate
Nice.
some REM there
Oh,
to
yeah.
end the program.
You'd be dancing, getting your groove on.
What a fun program we've had today. The second round of the NBA draft is starting, I think, in 10 minutes. And we'll see if Tyler Nickel gets drafted out of Vanderbilt. We'll see if Jacoby Gillespie and Felix Okpara get drafted out of Tennessee, in case unless they didn't get drafted last night, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay, good. I didn't want to sound like an idiot. But we'll see what happens in the second round of the NBA draft. We had another Predators trade to discuss today. The Predators traded Fedor Svechkov and Zachary LaRue to the Colorado Avalanche for center Jack Drury. So now 2 trades made by Chris McFarland, both involving his former employer because he traded for Ross Colton last week. So we'll see if there are any other moves in the offing for the Nashville Predators. I believe McFarland will address reporters tomorrow ahead of the NHL draft. First round is on Friday, so we'll see what he has to say. And if he says something interesting, we will certainly discuss it. Nate says grape nuts is an underrated cereal.
Okay.
Think so?
To each
Not a
their own.
word I would use to describe grape nuts. Underrated.
That's the first person I've ever heard say underrated. I think it's worth pointing this out. What's going on a lot too in the NHL?
Scored.
We got
Brazil.
another goal for Brazil. Oh boy.
Oh,
The
no, not the
Tartan Army.
Scots.
Oh, the Scots are in trouble.
Not the Scots.
Goodness. And then Brazil celebrating like only Brazil does with the fans and the players. But Drury was a guy that might have been susceptible to an offer sheet. They've got I don't know what their cap situation is, but they've got to sign Cale Makar to a gargantuan deal. So guys like Colton and Drury were going to become available, and so it allows Colorado to get something for them. Like LaRue and Svechkov are still very inexpensive players compared to Colton and Drury. Fair to say?
Yes.
Colorado saves some money in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Nashville gets more established guys who you know what you're getting, especially McFarland. So I think McFarland's going to keep digging around for those types of players, right? Maybe not the big headliners, but other players on other rosters that a team's thinking, we may not keep this guy. Can we get something for him? And that person might upgrade the Predators. I would look at the decor and say, if I'm McFarland, if there's a guy out there that fits that mold, I'd be on the hunt for that. Because you got all these picks, all these prospects, you can wheel and deal a little bit. And they've got plenty of cap space.
So this week, I have been Mr. Mom during the day. My wife went back to work last week, and we don't have any family in town. So we've been cycling through family coming into town and friends who are in town to help us with the baby when my wife is at work and when I come here. So the past few days, I've been Mr. Mom. I took her to her 4-month pediatrician appointment this morning. She got shots. She screamed like a banshee. My head is still ringing from how loud she screamed. But twice today. And I'm sure the two of you dealt with this a lot. Parents out there, I know you dealt with this with little ones. She had a couple of blowouts today, and that's never fun. So for people who think I'm full of you-know-what, today I literally was, because I did have you-know-what on me. So if you've ever said, Adam, you're full of, well, today I was. Today I was. So there you go.
It won't be the last time either.
No, but then, this is consumerism at its finest. I'm going to talk about my children again to end the show because I love my children. My wife sent me a text message within the past 15 minutes that my son is mad because it isn't his birthday. My son's birthday is in 2 months. And I said, why is he mad? And her response was toys. Quote, he wants all the Toy Story characters, including Lily Pad. We went to see Toy Story 5 over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Now he wants all the toys.
Oh, wow.
Consumerism, man.
They did it. So are you going to get him into the other Toy Stories?
He's seen all the Toy Stories. He's seen all 5 Toy Stories.
Cars is next.
He loves cars.
That's a rite of passage.
Oh, yeah.
Cars
he loves cars.
Cars is awesome.
He loves cars.
Yeah.
I tried to get him to watch some of my favorite Disney movies. He wasn't really into them, but, it is what it is. But,
oh, well.
I mean, what was the toy that your kids wanted more than anything else? And they were like, Dad, I got to get the toy. I got to get the toy. Is there something that comes to mind for the two of you?
Gosh, I'm trying to think. I know my son was into Legos.
Oh, I was a big Legos guy. Big Legos guy.
Still
even into his adult. And he still kind of sort of messes with them every once in a while. But I think Legos was big for him. And God, there was so many things back then.
But was there something you can remember that he really wanted, like more than anything in the world?
I mean, video game.
Yeah.
It was a video game.
Yeah,
it was an Xbox or something. Yes.
We held out. We had a philosophy in our house that we're not going to go there. The home game thing. We just weren't going there. But they definitely wanted it. But yeah, that's always a dynamic. And when do you do it? Do you birthday, Christmas, like the strategic thing? Like you can't buckle now. You can't just come home with all the Toy Story characters.
No, I mean we bought him. We bought
piece.
him one. We bought him one, and I told him, and my wife told him. Mostly my wife told him, this is your last toy until your birthday. So he's made it 2 days. Anyway,
2 days is 2 months to him.
Yeah, 2 days.
You're like, give me some toys, man.
He processes things based on how many, quote unquote, how many sleeps until. So how many sleeps until my birthday? And when Google's like, there are 64 days until August 26th. He doesn't know 64 days might as well be 2 minutes for him. It's been 64 days.
Yeah,
but
much so.
Doesn't he take multiple sleeps per day?
Yeah.
No, he is not a napper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My son is a terrible sleeper. I love him. He's a terrible sleeper. My daughter, a little bit better. Although she pooped on me a couple of times today. So she's on my you-know-what list. And that is how we will end today's show. In the pantheon of children, I've got some good ones.
There you go.
Yes.
End
All
the show
right.
using the word.
Yes, that'll end today's program. We got to a lot. And I like that. I like when we have news. It's June. There's not a lot going on. So, again, we appreciate the Predators for making news again during our program. We like that. Keep doing that.
Do it again tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow, speaking of the Predators, Elliot Freeman, Sportsnet NHL insider, will join us. We missed him last week. He was sick. I've heard him talk since then. He's feeling a lot better. We'll have Elliot on the program. A lot to get into with Elliot. We will be live at First Horizon Park for the Nashville Sounds. Can't wait to get back out to the ballpark. But until then, have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we will talk to you tomorrow at 3.
Be loved, love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful day. I love you. The team loves you. You hear that music. Don't you forget about us, because we will not forget about you. We will back on these airways. Started at 3 p.m. on 102.5 The Game. And as I always say, we're going to be talking and
you're going to be listening.
Peace.